it's timed. So maybe it would be good to wait a couple minutes and then whoever's here can participate.
Okay.
And if someone it's mostly silent because you'll be like typing or writing your thoughts. So I can explain when someone joins. And then I guess we could do that.
Cool. Hi, Zeb.
Hey everyone.
Nick, you mean it's 2 minutes per question, or?
So you're given, well, if you want, I can start sharing the instructions now.
Yeah, you can just share what we are going to do now.
Okay. How's the screen? Is it readable? Like, can you read the words on the post-it notes, or is it too small? You can?
Well,
Great.
I can.
Okay. So how it's going to work is there are 6 prompts. And what you do is you come up with as many sentence endings per prompt as you can. You're given 2 minutes per prompt to come up with as many sentence endings as you can. And you must answer as yourself, so not as the TEC and not as a working group. You're answering for yourself individually. And it doesn't have to be profound, just come up with as many as you can. And no pausing for reflection while writing. And after 6 timed prompts is when you reflect. I will let you know when it's time to reflect. So the reason that we're doing this exercise is to allow yourself to express honestly without self-censorship or strategizing or like reasoning away why not to share these thoughts. And it's like a form of reflection. And by doing that, it helps you understand yourself more. And the prompts that I've come up with are around the theme of energy flows within the TEC, which I think could be very valuable in like bringing to light I guess like what motivates and incentivizes people, what energizes them, right? So yeah, those are the instructions. How does that sound? Is it clear? Any questions?
And Nick, where would you like us to write them down?
So it's up to you. I'm going to be posting the link in Softgov right now for the Figma file. I've come up with post-it notes here that you can just type in. But I understand some people may not be comfortable with sharing, their unfiltered thoughts publicly. So if you want, you can also write it down in a notebook or something in real life, not digitally. But it would help, people gain insights and understand the participants in the TEC better if you do share it publicly. But I do have post-its ready here. So yeah, you can write on the post-its here or write down in paper, in person, somewhere private if you'd rather not share. And let me know if you're having trouble accessing the file. You should all be able to edit. And then I'm gonna get you to, I'm gonna click Spotlight Me so you'll be following my screen. As well, actually, maybe that one. Yeah, okay. So, are the instructions clear, or do you have any questions before we proceed? Hey, Chewy, and Bear's here as well. Woo. Is everyone ready?
Oh, hey, Nick, one last question. Do you want us to write our name on the post-it or just leave it anonymous?
Well, actually, if you edit the post-it, it changes the name from Nick to whatever your name is. And if you're not logged in, it just says anonymous. Oh no, someone start the timer. But yeah. Are we good to go? Chewy and Bear, do you know what's happening? Giving you 1 minute to let me know.
Sorry, Nick. I don't, but I'm a little bit distracted and I don't want to take more of the time. So if you want to start with it, go ahead. I'll just observe.
Okay. Bear, have you got any questions?
No, yeah, everything's clear.
Okay, great.
I just have the issue that I'm doing the recording in my computer, so I don't know if my computer will handle having the Figma tab open at the same time, so I'm gonna try, but if not, I'll just be observing and maybe writing it down in paper.
Yeah, you could absolutely write it down paper, and if you do want to share, just you can DM it to me. I'll post it in the post-it notes for you.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
All right. So in about 8 seconds, we're gonna go to the first questions, and let's go. So the first question is over here. So I use my energy towards, and then each sentence ending is one post-it. So just add a new post-it for the. Okay, I'm just checking in after the first one. How's everyone feeling? It goes by pretty quick, right? And the whole point is to get you practicing, like not, I guess, like editing yourself
but
too
maybe
much.
it's too quick because there's almost no time to write like a full sentence. I don't know, maybe 2 minutes and a half or 3 minutes.
3?
I find it's like a little bit too, not too much time.
Okay. I'll add extra minutes. I'm just gonna play it again, but just ignore this timer. We'll just have to let it pause real quick. Okay. So, all right. So we're gonna give you 43 extra seconds for this first question, and then after that, we're gonna move on to the next one.
Do you write them all in one post-it, or?
Yeah, you can if it's faster for you. Yeah.
Okay, so I will do that maybe because I was like changing my post-its and that takes time. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Okay. For the next few questions, you write it in the same if it's faster.
Yeah.
And then I can just separate them later. Okay, we're gonna go to the next question now. Energy flows back to me when. Okay, 7 seconds until the next question. Okay, the next question is, I direct energy towards the TEC because,
Ooh.
like, wait, we said 3 minutes. Yeah, okay, there we go. Mhm. Hey, Shabnam. So, if you click on the link in the Softgov channel, you'll enter the Figma file where we're just spending a few minutes per prompt to come up with as many sentence endings as we can. So, oh. All right. Wait, that felt shorter. Okay. You have 2 more minutes actually for this question. Sorry, guys. Let me just check the timer. I think things have changed here. Okay, it is still 3 minutes. Yeah. Keep going, and then I'll let you know when it's in the next one. So the question is still, I direct energy towards a TEC because. All right, in about 5 seconds, we're going to the next question. All right. The next question is, I direct energy towards the TEC by... And Shabnam, you can totally write down your answers in paper, and then I'll add it to the post-its for you later. Okay, you can edit now, Sheb, so you can add. All right. Okay, so next question is, TEC currently energizes me by... Okay, and we're on to the final question, which is TEC could energize me in other ways by. So you talked about what it energizes you by in the last question. This one is other ways it could energize you by that doesn't exist currently. Okay. So that was the last of the timed prompts. The the very final prompt is the reflection prompt. So if we're gonna spend some time looking at the notes that you wrote down, and then afterwards we're gonna be answering if any of what I wrote is true. It might be helpful if I, and then you're gonna be finishing it with sentence endings as well after you've looked at the notes you've written down and reflected on it. Does that make sense? This one is not timed. Everyone just let us know when you're done so we know when to move forward or when to finish
Can you
this
clarify
exercise.
a bit?
So
Because it leaves a lot of freedom to interpret.
sure. So you're gonna read through your answers for each prompt. You're gonna spend some time just reading through your answers, not everyone else's, your answers. And then once you finish reading through, you're gonna be answering this with sentence endings as well. So if any of what I wrote is true, it might be helpful if I, after reading your answers.
So what action or what's my conclusion after after mulling over my assumptions? Okay.
Yes. And for the last questions, by the way, since it's not time, try to come up with 6 till to 10 sentence endings, and then you're finished for the exercise. Okay, I'm personally am finished, but who else is finished, or who needs more time? Actually, is a better question. Is everyone good?
Okay.
Okay, I don't see anyone typing anymore. So that concludes the exercise. What did you guys think about everything? How did it feel during? How does it feel after?
I think you're a magician. So doing these, I did. It's the second time I think I go through one of these boards that you prepared, and every time it's, at least for me, it's like helps me sort a lot. Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
Especially
I'm
the
glad
last
you like it.
question. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to share their thoughts? Yes, good.
I really like it, Nick. As you know, I'm a big fan of these exercises. You have converted me for sure. So, yeah, I think it's really great. I'd love to maybe try something like this in the Sampo group too. You know, it's we were doing something kind of similar the other day, but it was more like, what are your experiences? What's your experiences that you bring, and then your interests. But this goes deeper, so I like this. Maybe once we are up and running a little bit longer, it would be good to do that. That's cool.
I can absolutely
Thank
make
you.
like a template that you can just like duplicate and use. Cool. I'm curious if anyone found it hard to type what they thought without filtering what they want to write or what comes up first in their mind. Because the whole point is like not censoring yourself. But did you find yourself, hesitating or editing the first thought that came up? That's the answer to the question.
Not in my case. Well, I didn't think that was an issue for me before, but I didn't censor myself. So it was quite straightforward today. I think, and we were talking about this, like maybe the question were very focused on these energies, so dynamic energy budgets, but no, it's, I just realized while going through the questions, it's very general, and it goes well for almost anything what we are doing, so it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping everyone can learn from what is shared here as insights, I guess, of the participants. Sorry, Livy, you're going to say something.
No, yeah, that I thought it was really insightful too, of how I didn't know of what was coming after. So I was just answering that part and not thinking about and then it was surprising in the end to see the correlations of the things I'm spending more time on and the things that give me energy, and then having that same dynamic for the TC. And in the end, I was quite like, wait, so how how can I actually fit the things that give me? And it was just like, oh my God, the things that give me energy have no space in my life. Like, how can I open that space? So that was a little shocking and awesome.
That's omega to the core right there, basically. It's like looking within, and then I guess in a way it changes how you look outside of yourself as well, and then everything changes when you start thinking, well, like, am I looking after myself? How can I look after people? Yeah. What about you, Zepti? Any thoughts? Edu? Bear?
Yeah, for me it was a nice experience, like, to keep learning about ourselves, but also like making it open. I feel it's good because, like, imagine, like, okay, I say like I'm attending many meetings, and maybe then I put it there, and maybe Livy then wish me, hey sir, why are you joining this meeting? You probably don't need to. And it's like, because we really have like this friendship in this commons. I feel so. Maybe like not saying it public, but it's cool. See also what others feel they're doing or they need help or how they feel. I feel it's cool. Thanks, Nick.
You're welcome. Any other thoughts or questions? I guess it took more than 15 minutes in the end.
Yeah, so for me, when I first came to the TC, the first working group I joined was actually Omega. And that's where I had the chance to participate in these activities with Nick. And since that moment, I was like, wow, I really, really like them. And I just feel that we need more Nick and more of these activities around the community and across the different working groups. I think it's super amazing, super insightful. And talking about this particular activity, for me, I found it really easy to answer the first, 4 or 5 questions. Until the reflection, that's where I took longer. I got a harder time trying to connect all the different answers that I put into creating more of an action plan, let's say, with this reflection. So yeah, I don't know, it was trickier for me, that part, but yeah, overall a lot of reflection and insights for myself. So yeah, I just really liked it, and I thank you for this, Nick.
And it makes sense that you struggled a little bit more in the final question, if any of what I wrote through might be helpful, because the other questions is kind of just allowing you to express yourself, but the final question is it's more of an act of creation, because you have all these ideas that you finally express, and now you're creating a way to connect them, or creating an action that you can take or something, to apply what you've learned from having gone through this exercise. So hopefully, everyone who participated here, or others who will have access to this document, because it's going to be obviously public and open source, you'll start thinking more about what energizes people who are part of the TEC, and the dynamics of what people pour into the TEC, what comes out of that, and I guess taking the time to think okay, it might be helpful if I did this, because I'm sure often it's pretty easy to focus on the problems, and you're just oh, this sucks. So if you allow yourself to express that, but then you go to the next step, which is it might be helpful if then you can come up with solutions, and you no longer feel so powerless. And this is something that you can do on your own, or you can do as a group as well. So yeah, I'm glad.
And I guess also the more there is a cognitive dissonance between what I think energizes me, and when I put actual effort in, the last question I think unlocks especially that. So maybe if it just doesn't unblock something, maybe there is nothing to unblock, or one needs more reflection because all of this is new. So it's quite interesting. But what I would like to hear is if anyone could not understand at all what that energize and energy means, or is it something that everyone naturally has a feel for what is meant? Did anyone say?
I will say I like the positive note that the exercise had. Because I feel it has a positive note. On the other side, the part of the energy for me is always tricky, because I'm not sometimes the energy for me has a concept of metaphysics, or a concept of something so abstract that is hard. So when I did the energy part, I was thinking, what is the opposite that doesn't tire me? What exhausted me here in the TC, and what is the opposite that doesn't exhaust me here in the TC? So I answered this based on that assumption, because it was easy for me to grasp on that on that sense. So yeah, that's it. Back to you, Shepne.
Would anyone else like to share if if you felt confused at all about what we meant by energizing, or you kind of just naturally thought of what it means to you?
Made sense to me. I mean, yeah, that's how I think about it. Things that give me energy and things that drain it. So, yeah, I like it.
Thank you, Nick. So yeah, I'm really glad to have this crew from Omega here today, and I think we've been chatting for a long time on how to join more the efforts of Softgov and Omega, and I think this is so related. We've been talking about something kind of like this for a long time, of like, what are the values being produced in the TC, and what are the values the TC is offering to people? How are people feeling in terms of compensation? And then thinking of compensation not only from a financial perspective. And I think this exercise touched on that too, to understand like what has been nurturing us from the TC also, and what could be improved. So I feel like it's still a little abstract, like how we can, it feels like there's quite a few challenges in that direction, and is still somehow abstract on how we're dealing with all of them, especially with the funding situation. And even though there's a lot of momentum on solving that from Sampo and many people thinking about it now. So also Mert, I think he can't join this time because he has another call, but he was talking about another point of collaboration for us to look into incentives, and I think it's also related to that, like what incentivizes us, and then incentives eventually touches on the reward system. And I think it's a whole web of things that are interconnected. So I'm just happy this is happening now. And also, I've been trying to open these calls for different people to facilitate it. So I'm really glad that you jumped in today, Nick. And next week, Edu wanted to propose an exercise based on the tea flower that I also think we've been wanting to. Unfortunately, the rewards call is always in the same time as the Omega call, and I can never make it. But I wanted to learn more about the Consilience Library and where that is, and how we can expand that to the whole TC.
And that's also, I think, maybe I think these are natural commons products, if you will, that are emerging. Like if we have this library with the amazing visions Nick and others have come up with, Letty and so on, Satori, like the experience of it, how do you make the interconnections, the transdisciplinarity, etc. Really no compromises on that end. But I think the other part that we need is also really execution, planning, and so on and so forth. The communication side of it, I don't know, it always falls too short. Like if we make progress, that's fine. If we can connect, that's fine. But I think maybe it remains too much in within Omega, or even underneath in those threads. But I believe the token entering conscience library could be really a commons. Something that scales, something that helps people to learn, and something that people would like to support back, in my view, because that's always the experience we have also from ecosystem value flows, these courses, for example, people go through them and they come with, maybe more questions than before, but some sort of clarity or a foothold that they get to such a really exciting, interesting domain, but it's also very hard to grasp. And I think that creates a kind of connection and a kind of gratitude somehow as well, that could also become one way of flowing values back to the token engineering commons. But I don't know, I think the people involved are really already involved in making sense of it and developing and so on. So if there would be any opportunity to collaborate, join forces, make create people onboarding it and using it more, and also ideas about how to make it part of the commons and what that means, that would be certainly very, very valuable. And also, it's not always, the Wiki call is only for the updates, right? And the token engineering consilience library also has a different call. Nick, I don't know if, correct me if I'm wrong, but
the creative call is on Mondays, but we do come up with just like a call on the go if we need to meet more.
yeah,
I think
or
people
specifically on the consilience library, it would definitely make sense if it got support and connection to more, like Livia and others who want to take it up and actually make it part of the commons. Or this is my idea of the commons. There is this open source pool of things that are useful, that are growing, or we're funding open source frameworks that we have already, etc., funding learning opportunities and the tech itself. But all of those opportunities then also flow value back in terms of people who are proficient in this very new and emerging and still very transdisciplinary, hence difficult to navigate field. More and better projects bringing wealth and prosperity to this new economic or wealth distribution, and all that jazz would be great.
On the note of the consilience library, we talked with this about Livy, so I share a link. I share a link on the Softgov, which is probably what we'll do next call, and it's tied to this idea that you just expressed, Shabnam. And the idea would be to sort of take a small view, and consilience library obviously have more expertise on this and probably can fill this Figma file better than any of us. But the idea is to just update the TE flower, but based on the TEC. Like, which fields are we currently exploring of these TE flowers, and what are examples of these explorations? And following what you just said, the idea would be to then extend this flower to create a more descriptive and in layers, in depth of the script, like what are the things that we are, the science fields or the fields that we are currently exploring the TEC, but also who are the people, also where, how. So the idea would be to just have, and of course, consilience library is an action item of this, because the layer of the knowledge that will have this TE flower, it's very connected to the consilience library. That's on one end, and then the other end, mentioning the consilience library. We had this conversation with Angela, and I talked to her to sync with Omega, basically because she shared the same sentiment, having a TE knowledge commons. That is a source of stuff, and it's the same concept. So I felt like rather than double work, it's just about syncing ourselves and just push this agenda forward. So the idea would be, just as a last note, is that everyone, whenever you have time from here to the next call, if you can fill up this Figma file, it's open and editable by anyone. It's not as pretty as the Nick one, but you can just edit it and add your stuff. And the idea will be, from your own perspective, what are the things that represents each of these petals, and what are the fields that we are missing from this petal. Like if you see there is something that we it's not representing the tea flower and so on. So that's it.
Hey, can I just add one other thing too? I wish that there were some way to kind of catch up on the Consilience library. You know, for those of us who can't, you know, like we have lots of other meetings and things like that, so we can't always attend Omega. Is there like some way that you could maybe do like some session where you do an overview of what's going on there? And I think a lot of people would be interested in that.
Definitely.
I think there's a lot of curiosity, you know?
Yeah. And also last time, I mean, I went MIA over 10 days, and now I'm the one talking because I have a big mouth, obviously. So Nick, but please share, because last time when we synced, it was really about, okay, we can actually, what is it that we're trying with the test curation and so on. It gave us some ideas how actually having a Discord would be super helpful, and then also pushing out the insights that we have, the curations, get people come there to curate, and then get learners come there to curate. So we should definitely make a session. And
I could also create the document if you prefer to read, or like visuals, or do you prefer to like have a video? Does it need to be a call, or would you prefer a document?
I whatever's easier for you all. I mean, I don't think it's, not trying to make work, but yeah, I think it's really important to, you know, for these ideas to be able to get out there so that
right.
everybody's understanding where you're coming from with this.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'll come up with a doc, and if people want to do a call on it, I can as well facilitate one.
And then when we have it recorded, basically it would be a status update on the token entry and consilience library. And then we should also provide, say, okay, what is it that we would right now want, for example, further curations, further feedback on the values that we see about the transdisciplinarity, novelty, the connections. So we need some alpha testers definitely going through this curation, and then also people going through the curated materials. That would be next ask actually from us to the community, that some people get their hands dirty with what we have come up with now.
Yeah, that sounds great. We can continue in touch in the Omega chat, and we're on top of the hour, so I just want to close this call. But thank you so much, Nick, for the exercise and for the updates on the Consilience library, and let's get more in touch moving forward.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.